Welcome to Parallel Universe. In the 1970s and 80s, Linda Ronstadt wasn't just a singer, she was the most important woman in American music. She sold over 100 million records, earned 11 Grammy Awards, and became the first female artist in history to achieve 3 platinum albums in a single year. She sang rock, country, pop, mariachi, and opera, and mastered every single one. But in 2013, at 67 years old, Linda made a statement that shattered everything she had built. She announced she could no longer sing. Not because she didn't want to, but because her brain had stopped sending the right signals to her vocal cords. The voice that had moved millions was gone. And now, at 79, she's finally telling the world what that silence actually felt like. What everyone suspected, but could never prove, was that Linda Ronstadt had been carrying something far heavier than any of us realized. It wasn't just the loss of her voice. It was the loss of her identity. When you have spent your entire life being defined by one extraordinary gift, what happens when that gift is taken away? The disease was Parkinson's, though Linda was initially misdiagnosed with stroke. The symptoms started gradually, a tremor here, a stumble there, a voice that cracked on notes she had hit effortlessly for decades. She thought it was age. She thought it was fatigue. She kept pushing forward, because that's what performers do. But the diagnosis came eventually, and it was final. Progressive supranuclear palsy, a rare and incurable neurological disorder that slowly shuts down the body's ability to control movement. For most patients, that means difficulty walking. For Linda, it meant the one thing she could not accept. It meant silence. The cruel irony of Linda's story is that she had already survived one kind of silencing earlier in her career. In the 1990s, when she released a series of mariachi and Mexican folk albums, the country music industry and her own fans turned against her. They called it a betrayal. They said she was abandoning the audience that made her famous. She was told she was too old to experiment, too established to take risks, too white to sing music that wasn't hers. But Linda didn't care. She sang mariachi anyway, in Spanish, with pride, because the music was part of her blood. She was from Tucson, born to a Mexican father who sang in Spanish around the house. That music was her inheritance. But the rejection she faced cut deep, and it planted a seed of doubt that never fully left her. And then the disease did what the critics never could, it silenced her completely. For the first time in her life, Linda Ronstadt had no voice. Not metaphorically, not emotionally, literally. She could speak in short, strained sentences, but singing was impossible. She tried. God knows she tried. She went into the studio, stood in front of the microphone, opened her mouth, and nothing came out. Not a note. The woman who had filled arenas and sold out Carnegie Hall could not produce a single sound that she recognized as her own. She later described that moment as the closest thing she had ever felt to grief. But here's what she's finally revealing now, in the quiet years that followed. The silence didn't destroy her, it freed her. For the first time, Linda was no longer the voice. She was just Linda. The woman who grew up on a ranch in Arizona, the daughter of a mother who played piano and a father who built hardware stores, the girl who fell in love with music before it ever loved her back. She spent 50 years being a legend. And now she gets to be a person. Today, Linda lives quietly in San Francisco. She can no longer sing, but she still attends concerts. She watches other artists perform with the same love she has always had. She has said in interviews that she doesn't pity herself, that she got to do what almost nobody gets to do, and she got to do it brilliantly. The sadness isn't in the loss. The sadness, she admits, is in the realization that she was never allowed to just be ordinary. That every conversation she had for 50 years was about her voice, her records, her legacy, her body, her beauty, her talent, and almost nobody ever asked her how she felt about any of it. She was the most famous woman in music. And for a long time, she was also the loneliest. But now, at 79, the silence isn't punishment anymore. It's peace. If Linda Ronstadt's music has ever moved you, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because there are so many incredible stories from the legends who shaped the soundtrack of our lives, and we'll be sharing more of them right here.